Call vote.
Holt,
Here.
Or roll call, not roll call vote.
Nikki,
Here.
Sarah. Here. Phillips.
Here.
Lynn. Bradford.
Here.
Tatum.
Here.
Lemmings.
Here.
Bass.
Here.
Alrighty, we are here to discuss two items in the special meeting, both pertaining to the Election Commission. Our first item of business is an appropriation ordinance to be read by Justice Bradford.
Be it enacted by the Quorum Court of the County of Van Buren, State of Arkansas, an appropriation ordinance to be entitled, an appropriation ordinance to amend the original appropriation ordinance 2019-55 and the annual operating budget for 2020 to increase the projected revenue and appropriate $20,000 into the Election Commission budget 1000-109. Whereas due to extra training, meetings, and replacing failed equipment, funds are low in the Election Commission budget. And whereas the state of Arkansas will be reimbursing the county for expenses of the 2020 primary election. And whereas funds need to be appropriated in the Election Commission budget now to pay bills that are due as stated, 1000-109-3009 other professional services, $10,000. 1000-109-3023 internet, $578.18. 1000-109-2001 general supplies, $3,000. 1000-109-2002 small equipment, $2,000. 1000-109-1002 salaries part-time, $3,421.82. 1000-109-106 Social Security, $1,000. Now therefore be it ordained by the Quorum Court of Van Buren County, Arkansas, that Section 1, $20,000 be appropriated into the Election Commission budget 1000-109 as stated above, and Section 2, the state reimburses the county, the monies appropriated will be refunded to the general fund. I move this ordinance be approved.
Second.
Okay, it's been motioned and second that we adopt this ordinance. Open discussion.
I have, that's what I'm talking about. That's a question here. I just want to know why they need the money. What was that? Why do they need the money? Anybody here want? Election Commission?
I can answer most of that. The details county clerk has got, but it's to pay ES&S, the vendor that sold us the equipment. We owe them $8,000, and they need to be paid. The political consultant that we hired to do the direct mail piece that went out, his bill was originally $3,250. He cut that when I asked him. I told him that we were having financial troubles here in the county, so he cut it down to $2,700 and some change. I don't remember exactly what that was. And then there are other supplies that were purchased to run the election, election signs, election paraphernalia. That was roughly $800. Then we had to replace a computer and printer and those supplies. Those just absolutely failed on us back around the first of the year. Commissioner Bennett bought those supplies on her own personal credit card, needs to have those reimbursed. There are other things that the county clerk probably got, plus the commissioners pay for the month of January. And those are, as I know it, those are the bills. There's probably others, but I'm not aware of them. And again, the county clerk would have those. Any other questions?
Political consultant, has he been paid?
No,
Who authorized him to be hired?
we did.
We who?
We, the election commission,
All three of you?
all three of us. Unanimous vote. Cheapest, we could get it done. That was a direct mail
Why do
piece.
we need a political consultant?
Well, I say political consultant.
$2,700.
I say political consultant. He does that work, but he also does direct mail for anybody.
that's
And so he did the direct mail piece for us. The one that went out to every voting household in the county. It was cheaper to do it that way than it was to send one to every registered voter. We elected to do it to every voting household. Rather than the 10,000 registered voters, we did it to 3,260, something like that, voting household.
So is that legal? That's the question then.
I would
What was the
say,
authority, what was the authority to hire him? Besides that vote?
we did it because it was in our budget to do it.
What line item in budget? I mean,
It was in postage.
All right, and here's my question. If it's in the budget to do it, then why are we here? Where's your budget? I mean, that's, I guess that's the whole thing, is the budget here. Let me ask you this, how many meetings do you guys have a month?
It depends on what we've got to get done that month. I can tell you this, there has never been a meeting that we conducted that was not necessary to conduct the affairs of the election commission to ensure that we had an effective election. Never. When we met with, for example, when we meet with ES&S, they would tell us of things that we did not know that we needed to have. For example, if we had not attended one of the training meetings, we would not have known about the mobile hotspots that we needed to get. Had we not secured those mobile hotspots, we wouldn't have election here on March 3rd, because we wouldn't have them. And we've got two polling places that are not internet equipped, so we had to buy those things. Had we not gone through all of this plus more, these are the procedural, technical, and administrative manuals that we had to learn, the three of us. We had to learn them so that we could teach them. In addition to this, we had to learn the new equipment. There's completely new equipment, and no one in this county knew anything about the equipment, none at all. And so we had to take time to learn how to maintain it, administer it, troubleshoot it, operate it, store it, transport it, and those are all technical things that we did not know going into the budgeting process back last fall that we needed to have. What happened was, in a nutshell, is nobody in this room knew. The election commission, the court, nobody knew what was going to be required to get ready for the primary election. Now, for the general election, we're not going to have all those expenses because we've already got the administrative supplies. We've already learned how to run the equipment. We learned how to maintain it. We learned how to troubleshoot it. We learned how to train the poll workers, and that took a lot of time to train 40 poll workers on equipment that they had never seen before. Some of them didn't know anything about a computer. We had to teach them. We had to teach them everything. And it was both time-consuming and it was technical for us because we had to learn everything in those manuals plus more. So that's why.
You didn't answer the first question, was how many meetings did you have in January?
We had 11. We actually assembled more times than that, but we only recorded minutes to be billed to the county for 11.
Yeah, because I think you charged for 23 meetings, or 23 times, is that correct?
25.
25.
Is that in?
How much do you get paid a meeting?
I get 150. The commissioners get 100.
25.
Yeah, that's what well, and here's why I'm asking this, and is because I've tried to do due diligence, and I asked the clerk to contact, oh, let me remember the password here, contact other counties on about how many meetings, they have a year, because I don't know what you guys do. I think Hempstead said that meetings vary. Benton County, 4 meetings plus mileage. Independence County, 3 to 5 meetings. Polk County, 3 to 4 meetings. Clark County, meetings vary. Lafayette County is up to 10 meetings on election, plus mileage on election day. And because the reason I get to that is because when we contacted the state election commission, and I don't know the guy we talked to, we were on a conference call, 5 of us, he said really 10 is a lot of meetings. They said that's how many maximum they pay for, is 10 meetings. And so in my mind, I'm like, how in the world did we get 25 meetings in a month?
Was that, not in a month? No, sir.
Well, since
Not in a
January
month.
1.
Since January. In January, we had 11 meetings. In February, we have had 11 meetings. I don't know where your counts are coming from, but it's not my job to keep up with your counts.
In January, you've had 14. February, 11.
25.
Okay, I'm
So
gonna
it's
be
over
completely
25 so
honest
far.
with you. I was asked to be on the budget committee after Mr. Bass had some health issues. And everyone knows that I'm extremely busy. We all have lives and work, all these things.
Right.
But we met several times and all of the other elected officials skimped and scraped and all of these other things to get their budgets in order. And then, I mean, just being forthright with you, I was very offended when you guys asked for a raise after you hadn't attended any budget meetings. And then, I mean, that's why it didn't go through, I feel like, for the rest of us, was that, first of all, the money wasn't there. And you just stated that you knew that we were in financial distress, but, and I mean no disrespect, that you are my elder and I respect you, but if you knew that going into it, I feel like you should have been a little bit more frugal with the money. And then I found out that you went to Western Sizzlin and ate, and like knowing that other people are cutting on toilet paper to try to save money, but then you
And
guys went out to eat.
we had that in our food budget. And it was not for the election commission, it was for one of the ES&S trainers that came in.
So you were one of the ones.
I was one of the ones that was there, yes. I was the one that did that. Because I felt the training that they were giving us, the least that I could do was to at least buy lunch for the lady.
Will we pay them? Did we not pay
May I
them?
say something?
No.
You didn't pay for lunch.
I
the
paid
county
for
did.
my own lunch.
The ES&S people were here, that's part of the contract.
Yes.
So they's on contract.
They made
Okay, we
money
didn't-
off
we
of
didn't know
us,
anything.
but that was in the contract.
They make money on, state pays them.
And I understand that things like that happen, but I just feel like if you knew that we were in this financial distress,
I didn't know we were in distress until the end of January. I didn't know that.
What rock have you been under?
Pardon?
What rock have you been under?
Uh-huh.
Have you not read the papers? Have you not heard us
I
in our
don't subscribe
political
to any
events?
paper. I don't subscribe to any.
Have you not heard me talk about it?
The only time.
I know you heard me talk about it,
The only
John.
time I heard you talk about it is when we had our meeting Monday 3 weeks ago.
If everyone overspent their budget by the same percent that you've overspent yours, this county would be over $2 million over budget. How do you justify that if everyone else acted like you?
The only thing that I can tell you is this. The election commission never went into any month or scheduled any meeting with the intent behind it being, well, I think we can make more money. That was not the intent. The intent was, are we making sure that we are going to have a good election? Do we know enough ourselves? Have we got the equipment set up? Are we ready to train the poll workers? And if the answer was no, then we looked at where the deficiencies were and we corrected them. We never had any, never, not once did we look at, were we gonna try to make money? That was not the issue. The issue is, were we gonna be able to conduct a good election?
When you're in charge of an organization, the number one top priority is money.
The number one top priority
Is
is
money.
completing the job.
It's money. You have to know how much money you have day in and day out that you operate on. Day in and day out. If you don't know that, you're not doing your job. You're wasting taxpayer dollars.
Having been a businessman and run millions of dollars of budgets for 40 years.
Don't talk to me about
I
millions
know
of
how to
dollars.
do that.
I've done millions of dollars
Millions of
myself.
dollars, John.
I know that, I know
You
that.
don't
Many
have
of you
millions of
have,
dollars.
many of you have. I'm just
Well, you're
saying,
the one
I
talking
know.
about the millions of dollars.
Pardon?
You're the one that talks about the millions you don't
Yeah,
have.
brought up the
we're
issue.
talking about county dollars, Johnny.
I agree.
You wasted county dollars.
I take
Because
exception to
you
the
had
word
your
waste.
head somewhere else where it didn't belong. okay?
Is
You were
attacking
wrong.
me pertinent to
You
this
were wrong,
discussion?
Johnny. It's just simple as that. You were wrong. You don't have a clue what you're doing.
Johnny, I am appalled that in 2 months you could rack up 25 meetings. Do you know that we are having this meeting today and we piggyback another meeting on top of it? And do you know how much we get paid for this second meeting? Well, we're not even gonna probably get paid for the second meeting,
Yeah,
but for the
that's
committee
right.
meeting, we get a whopping $25. And we try to consolidate, so
And we have too.
you cannot tell me that with 25 meetings
Yeah.
in 2 months.
Please
I'm
don't
sorry.
lie. Don't lie to the court, okay? Don't
Sir?
lie. Don't lie to this court.
I take great exception to
You
your
can
attitude
take any
and
exception
your
you want
tone.
to, Johnny, but
I
I'm
do
telling you
not
right now,
believe the things you're
25
saying.
meetings
I do
is
not believe it.
irresponsible.
I do not believe it.
Irresponsible.
I do not believe it.
I don't care what you
And
believe.
your words
You're
are
irresponsible.
cutting, and they are not
Well,
respectful.
Well,
Have
yeah,
I done
and you know
anything
what?
disrespectful to
That's,
you?
no, I'm not
I
being
haven't.
disrespectful. I'm being truthful to you,
I'm
Johnny.
being true to you.
Order. Okay, we're all gonna be able to talk, but you're not gonna talk over each other, okay? Go ahead.
It's beyond my ability to understand what the heaven's name you have tried to do here. You have faithfully destroyed people's confidence in this election commission by, number one, oh, we didn't get our pay raise, so we're gonna have more meetings, so we'll make more money.
That is not true, sir.
Well,
One at a time.
That's
You'll
the
get your
allegation
time.
that it is right now, okay? Whether it's true or not, that's the allegation. And like he said, we were told by the state 10 meetings is about normal. 10 for each election cycle. Not 25, 10. That's what the state told us.
Not, man,
Okay, first of all, let's let Johnny rebut, Dale.
The 10 meetings is correct
That's what they'll pay us for.
for those counties that do not have to go through new equipment training. For those counties that have to go through new equipment training, more time is required. You cannot go through that much information with the equipment we've got. You can't, nobody in here could do it in less than what we've done. If we could have done it in less, we would have done it in less. That's just a simple fact.
Okay, Johnny, I guess where I'm confused at, and now I'll let you talk, sir, is it, you had in England that was gonna take that much time. First of all, you should have been back to a court as quickly as possible and say, look, we messed up here.
I submitted my budget estimates to the county clerk in November.
Okay? And then you should have contacted the state office and say, we've got a big problem here. Are you guys gonna be able to pay us over 10 meetings? Because otherwise, it comes out of the county's money, which we don't have a lot running around right now. It could have maybe been better organized in the sense that maybe the state would cough up more money for us. Because it's like digging in a hole trying to find money for us to pay for additional stuff that's going on. Not just your office, but any office. Okay?
Okay,
Sarah.
Sarah?
Well, first of all, my point in saying that I'm a very busy person is that I realize that time is extremely precious. And I feel confident in saying that no one here expects you guys to work for free. I realize that it's probably gonna take a few more meetings than the regular 10 because you are learning a new system. But I
Thank you.
think that the problem here was that it was we'll just do this and ask for forgiveness later, rather than coming to us and saying, you know, we've had to have more meetings because we have a lot of things to learn, we're gonna need more money, you know, on the front end of it,
Yeah.
rather than submitting this and like it was just a bomb dropped in our lap.
Sarah, that's a good point, and we should have done that, but it escaped me at the time, so it's a good point.
I appreciate what you're saying.
Well, I have a question here because I really feel that when I received this text, and I don't know, this come from the clerk's office, but I don't know how you stated it, but this is what I've got, and I kind of took offense to it, and that's when I called the state election commission. It says, basically, I met with the election commissioners concerning their budget, told them their ordinance not passed last night. They stated that the quorum court need to have an emergency meeting and pass an appropriation ordinance so that they can run the election and pay their bills, or there would not be an election. So basically, we're holding the people, the election hostage unless you get your money. Which that's not gonna happen per the state. But what, and I guess it's having me a hard time wrapping my head around where all this money went. You know, and I understand the new machines. I understand that. And I understand, I couldn't read that in 2 hours. But I could probably have the people come in and maybe do a class on a full day instead of a 2-hour meeting. You know, I understand that some of you may have full-time jobs and all that. I understand that very well, but sometimes we have to, you know, piggyback off something just like tonight, as she was talking about. Some of us don't even get paid to be here tonight because we're piggybacking off of another meeting, and that's fine. I could care less about getting paid because I'm doing it for the people. That's where I'm at. I really feel like we're trying to be held hostage over this election, if you didn't get your money.
Well, like I told the clerk, and I told the judge the same thing. I said, we are distressed that it didn't pass when it first came up last week or the week before, whenever it was. But I can tell you now, the election commission will complete our responsibilities. There will be an election. We will be there. We will staff everything. We will do what needs to be done.
That's not what you told me when
Yeah,
I
let's get this
sent out
straight here.
that text.
That I did
Let's
say.
stay honest here. Let's tell
That I did say
That's
in the
no-
heat of the moment, and then I backed up and said, but I can tell you, we are gonna do what needs to be done. We will be there to conduct the election.
No, you didn't. You walked down that hallway and said we wouldn't have an election if you didn't get your money. You said up here you do it for free, and then you walked down that hallway and said that we wouldn't have an election.
But I told the judge and I told the clerk that we were gonna be there to make sure the election went on.
Honestly, don't know what to believe because you told me in my office, y'all were very nice. I mean, it was a very good meeting. You said, we're gonna have an election no matter what the financial condition is of the
That's
county.
true.
To 5 minutes later, get this offensive email that says, or text that says, or there would not be an election. Well, I don't know what to believe. Which is it?
We're gonna be there. I was upset. I was upset. Not for me, but for these two people who work tirelessly. They do the work. The Republican commissioner, the Democratic commissioner, they do the work. And I wanted to make sure that they were gonna get paid because they put in countless hours. Hours that are not recorded in the minutes. They've taken these manuals home with them over the weekend to read and pick up with things. Come in when they weren't compensated to study the machines, to learn how to turn them on, turn them off, how to maintain them, how to troubleshoot them. I understand every one of your concerns. And I did get aggravated at that. And I did make the comment. But I corrected it when I cooled down, and I told Pam and I told the judge that we're gonna be there. I'm like the rest of you. I'll get mad occasionally, but I recover.
I have another question. Let's go to Trailergate. You stated several times that you're looking to buy a trailer. What are you gonna buy a trailer with?
We were looking to buy, we were also looking to rent at the same time.
With what?
We didn't know. We were looking at options. We looked at county options, we looked at renting, we looked at buying, we looked at trading, we looked at every option we could think of.
Hey, Johnny, excuse me, Johnny, what was the trailer gonna be used for?
To haul the equipment. The election trailer that we currently have is too small. We can't get the equipment in the door. Modifying the door, cutting the door just wasn't feasible.
You can't get the equipment in the old trailer we used for years.
Correct.
How many commissioners are there?
I'm sorry?
How many commissioners are there?
Three.
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 Okay.
One Democrat, one Republican, and then the majority party has a second commissioner. And then the commission meets and elects a chairman.
You're gonna use a box truck from recycling, aren't you?
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
So that makes more sense.
Yeah, we've got that. We sent an email to the judge after he said he would supply one. We confirmed it. He's gonna supply the road crew and a box truck to deliver the equipment on Monday and then go pick it back up on Tuesday. And provide the tie downs necessary to secure the equipment inside the box truck.
I had a question on your salary. Have y'all not been paid for all of January?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, I had 6,000.
Well, hold on a minute. We've been paid for all, yeah, we've been paid for all of January.
Because in salaries, we've paid out 6,162.22, and we still owe y'all for most of February, all of February. All of February, actually.
You paid the election commission $6,000?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have some just clarification
That's
questions.
including taxes. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. And I'm learning as I go here on this, so I'm gonna ask some questions that maybe, I should know, but, so in the budget, the 2020 budget, how many meetings were in this budget? Like, was there a projection of meetings in this budget? Or is that a set aside because it's refunded to us?
No, I had sent to the clerk back in November or December that I estimated we'd have 40 meetings to prepare for the election.
Okay. And so that total should be reflected in.
It should, but it's not.
But it's not.
Yeah.
I'm glad she cut you back.
I have a question when you're finished.
And then I just wanted some clarification from Pam on what, I know we got some numbers, but I'm still not seeing them exactly match up with this ordinance, so I just wanted to go through what is actually outstanding, that, is a bill that,
We have their February meetings to pay. I think they turned in 4 more today.
4 more meetings?
Mhm.
Yeah.
For
and
For the last 2
Total,
weeks.
Total of
Should be 9.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 so far. I had the ES&S bill to pay. I have the equipment that they put on Miss Bobby's credit card. I have to pay her for that. That's over $2,000.
I have a question about that, and this kind of stems from Mickey and maybe my ignorance, what she was talking about with that. What is the process for doing something like that? I'm wondering why it was put on a personal credit card.
And we do that quite often.
Okay,
Yeah.
so is there what was that for? Can you tell me?
A computer
Okay.
and a printer,
Okay. So,
which the two that was been used has probably been here maybe 10, 12 years. I think when the original coordinator, Jeff, he used it all
And
the
the
time
printer
that he was here.
just started leaking ink everywhere.
Yeah.
And in that $2,000, that's not all, there's $800 worth of election signs, election equipment that Ms. Bennett put on her personal credit card.
There's 3 pages of things that we have to have.
so that is normal to use your personal card and then just get
Yeah,
reimbursed?
yeah. It's,
Actually, audit prefers that.
Well, have you got the invoices on that, all that?
Of
Yeah.
course.
yeah, we'll have all the invoices, but George has also bought stuff. $100.
Tie downs, extension cords, stuff like that.
And I had to buy the pens, pencils, and everything that goes in the little kits that go into the.
So what'd you buy, Johnny?
Nothing, they volunteered to buy.
But I mean, you have to have it.
I volunteered.
It seems funny, but I'm like.
So on those items that were purchased, just so cause I think in a budget mind, were you drawing out of a line item or were they were just,
We just bought. We had to have them.
We just bought.
We had to have them.
Miss Clerk, you've been a clerk before, we just bought.
Well. I
I'm
mean,
sorry,
I
I'm
didn't-
out of line. Mr. Bass wanted to
I
speak.
didn't even have a copy of the budget. I never got a copy of the budget.
Bet you know where to go get one.
Yes, I know.
As a commissioner, I think you
I
probably
have said several times, well, actually, just probably to Johnny, that y'all are getting low. Y'all
Yeah.
are running out of money.
Yeah,
Now, she did make that comment in early January.
but also, we knew that you would get reimbursed, but you've got to spend the money before you can get reimbursed.
But you do also know that I can't spend money out of y'all's budget and cause that category to go in the red either.
I know
I
that
get
too.
wrote up.
I know that too.
I can't do that.
Mr. Bass, we have, he stated quite some time ago he wanted to speak, and he
waiting
hasn't been as
patiently.
diligent as jumping in there. Go
In all
ahead.
fairness, and I don't know if it'd be appropriate, but I would like to ask a gentleman that's here that's been election commissioner for many, many years when I was in office. He worked on the Ivotronics when we went went from paper to those. And I'm just curious, when that happened, I mean, it's about the same thing, how many,
Sure.
if he wouldn't mind, and I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but just to be fair, I'd like to know how many meetings it took to go through that.
I know how much money was spent.
Huh?
I know how much money was spent.
Yes, I knew you
It
would
was
know that.
2010 when it happened.
But
I
we're
knew
not-
I
we're
should
not-
have stayed at home.
I
knew it.
Oh, we need you here, we need your
Good,
budget.
Bob.
I
We
would
need
kinda,
to-
I'd like to just kinda like to know, Bob, the number of meetings that when you went through the process of the Thomas going from paper ballots to, and I know it was a learning process. I know that there was a lot of work to be done. Could you give me a
Well,
estimate?
generally, of course, on the primary, the state reimburses for 10 meetings. We, most of the time, was able to stay there. We did, like they did, spend some dime on our own. We had to. But on the training part, we went to the state and got our training. It cost us nothing. ES&S was there, but these may be different. I don't know, I've not seen them, but I know I was here when all the Ivotronics came, and we had, I think, when it was over, we had 66, or I don't know how many, but anyway, it took a lot of time, it took a lot of training. But we tried to stay under the meeting times, what we were supposed to. But I can understand that you might go over, but we just did it on our own. Because, you know, when you're election commissioner, you're bipartisan, you're working for all the people in the county, you're working for everyone concerned. So you don't think about that so much, you just think about getting the job done. And you have to make sure you have a legal and an honest election. That's what election commissioners do, that's what they're there for. But you know, there's a lot more to putting on an election than just saying election. I'm telling you folks, it starts months before. It takes some work. Because there's a lot of things to do. But I don't know their situation completely, but I just know what I did when I was there and what we did.
And you
And
had,
we, I think most of the time we were able, but of course, after years on the Ivotronic machines, you didn't have to, you know, train so much, but,
but it was a process in the beginning.
do what?
It was a process in the beginning.
Yeah,
Right, I know because I was there.
yeah. Well, what they did, they brought the machines, dumped them out, and said, there they are. Well, the state does not train you on machines unless you go to them. they could care, they want you to train on the paperwork, on how to handle all that. They don't pay for any training on the machines. They never gave us anything for training. We went there because they had an ES&S representative there that was familiar, but we went probably 4 or 5 times, and then it took, after that, maybe 10 years to really learn. But
Yeah, yeah.
anyway, it takes a long time, and there's still things that, you know, can come up, but that's all I know to tell you is that it does take a lot of time and it takes training, but we were able to get ours by going to Little Rock, and it didn't cost us.
And there were 3 of you guys there,
Yeah.
right? You,
Yeah.
James, and,
Stephen James and
Stephen
Jimmy
James.
Kirkendall, but
well.
now back
in the
then
beginning,
it was
Al,
Al
Rick,
Briggs.
yeah.
And when I came in, Don Richardson was just leaving. And I took a man's place that was when we were counting paper ballots. So I got in on 22 plus years on the Livetronics.
Yeah.
I'm just getting to learn them, and they get these crazy new ones.
Yeah.
But they say they're much better and quicker and simpler. I hope so, because only thing I can say about them is they must be big. Because that trailer, we was hauling, of course, Livetronics are not too big. We was hauling 20, 25 at a time in that trailer, but I understand these are, the legs and stuff are quite big. I've not even seen one, but I will election day. I'll go and see one, but anything else that's all I can.
Yeah. Bob, I certainly appreciate
Yeah, thank you.
your years of service, and you worked very hard, and you kept me out of trouble. And I appreciate
I
it.
tried to keep myself and
Yeah,
everybody
you
out
did
of
a
trouble.
wonderful job, and I appreciate it.
You know, I don't envy their job.
No,
I tell you,
it's not easy.
I've done it. And you get a lot of knocks and everything else doing it, but, you know, you're doing it for the public. You can't say I'm doing it for me, I'm doing it for you, everyone in this county. So,
Well, thank you for your dedication to the county.
Yes.
you're very welcome. Glad to have done it.
Now, are we using ES&S on these?
Yes.
Yes.
May I?
Yes.
Because I'm probably the oldest, and I was with the county when he was with the county.
Yes.
The thing that we are missing this time and last year, we don't have the coordinator. And Jeff Hall was the coordinator at one time, and he did a lot of the training. And he trained, well, the commissioners too. And he did some of the work that we are now having to do. So that's why there's more hours, there's more days. And sometimes we've made probably 6 trips to Little Rock for us to learn, to teach. And then we've had 4 training sessions with the workers. And that was at night, and you're not paying us for those. We did it on our own. So it's not like we're trying to make money. We're trying to get the job done and get ready for, well, actually, we're already early voting. So they had to be trained, the one that's working there. And we've got 6 at each of it, so we've got 24 that we've trained for the voting centers. And I think they've done a good job. But I was here when we had paper ballots, so I know what, and I know the expenses, I know what, and I've gone back to when we got the first, and usually for the professional services and all of these budgets, it's been close to $100,000, so, and we've done it with a lot less.
We spent a lot of all-nighters, didn't we?
Yes.
on election?
So you had
Ms.
four-
Bennett, I had one question here real
Yeah.
quick. Is, being that we're into this where we're at right now, would you feel safe to say that with all your training that you've had and everything's kind of the way it's going, we're already into early voting, that we're kind of on cruise control at this point in time?
I think I think everyone that's, the workers are, feel comfortable with it. I feel comfortable with it. I didn't get into the machines that much, but I know enough to put in the codes and stuff, but I've done run the training, for all the workers at night on the computer, posting it on the wall, as you say.
Right.
Could I
Yeah.
ask you one more question? Who's doing the work that Jeff Hall did?
We are,
Part of it.
Yeah.
It's back
Pam.
most of it.
The biggest part of it is getting ready for the election.
Yes.
On the ERM, which I do,
She
On
does
what
that,
end?
but,
On what end?
on the ERM.
yeah, we've had people from ES&S, so they've come down to explain everything to us and get us ready to explain it all to the poll workers.
That's election day.
Yes, that's the election day. And also, we've worked with the ones that are doing early voting also. So,
Well, I want to say thank you for all your hard work over the years. I know you kept me out of a lot of trouble too. You
well,
worked very hard.
we
for
worked
that.
together. We did good, I
And I
thought.
appreciate the work the election commission does.
Thank you.
This doesn't look good. and
Well,
I think it covers everyone, but,
it kind of, well, I mean, we were in it last year, and with the school election, we were working with the old equipment. And that was a disaster, and it was only at one polling site. So we knew we had to do something. We had I think we counted 94 of those old machines over there. And probably maybe 10% of them might have worked.
Yeah, some
if
of
that.
the old machines were from other counties that didn't even work
Yeah,
at
they were
all.
actually,
could I ask you, where did those 90-something machines go to?
they were trashed. Yes, it was a good word. It was done by,
We used to have to get an ordinance to
we
do
did.
that.
There
Did you
was
do
an
that?
ordinance. There was an ordinance.
There was an ordinance to take care of that.
Yeah, we voted on that.
Yeah,
I wasn't here.
he would. Probably not, yeah. That was last year.
Yeah, I was.
So you had 4 training sessions. Was that for each worker or 4 different days?
No, we had picked all the workers that we were gonna have, and that we called all of them or text or got a hold of them to see when they could come. And we picked 3 nights. Oh, no, 2 nights, and then a Saturday, and then one came in during the week.
We never had that on the old machines. We had 1 training session.
No.
Even when we went from, you was here when we went from paper to computers first time?
No.
Okay, when we went from paper to computers,
Well, I don't know.
we had 1 training session.
But you had a
Yeah, well, I would say we
coordinator
We had
there.
1 training session.
You had a coordinator too, so I don't know how he
Well,
worked.
yeah.
But we let
I'm
them,
talking about that, y'all did 4.
we had let them choose one of the dates so we could accommodate everyone. I mean, you know, it's kind of hard with.
I know some of the workers are getting harder to come by, and I
Yes,
understand that.
definitely.
Hey, I was looking at the meeting notes. What was your longest meeting?
Oh, I usually put the time we met and the time we left.
Mhm. The longest one I can find, 6.5 hours. Was there one longer that I'm missing?
Well, the day the equipment came in was an all-day thing.
Okay, so one day was all day.
And then when Jerry came down to I'm not quite sure of the process that he had to do to the poll books, but he came about 8 o'clock, I think it was, and I closed up at 4.
Okay.
So, I mean, it varied.
Mhm.
It depended.
So a lot of them were 2-hour meetings,
Of
Some
the
not
training
even.
sessions, yeah.
some not even.
But now when,
Do you
Well,
think
we
that
had other-
$125 for 2 hours is justified?
I'm not sure. I mean, that was passed long before we were here, so I don't know what would be justified, what would be justification. Now, like when election's going on, we're there all day. I mean, from the start to the finish. It just varies, so. But I'm not doing it for the money, I'm doing it to help.
Have you ever seen that done before, though? $2,700 for political consultant for mails out and all that?
Well, maybe
Have you
that-
ever been involved in anything like that before?
I don't know about the publication. Jeff did all of that. He run what was in the paper. He did, all it is to publicize, let the people know what, and the dates and everything. So-
Is the political consultant deal, the 2,700, is that for newspaper ads? Is that what that's for?
No,
Is it-
you should have gotten one of those little cards in the paper telling you all the information for the election
Well,
day.
if I did, my wife got it.
I got one. Was there an error on it or something?
No,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
wasn't our fault, because that was done in December
Right, right.
before the 17th was
Yeah.
declared a
It said it
holiday.
started on Monday, but it actually
It should have started on
I thought
Monday.
that.
But that
so I
was for
did do it,
mail
yeah.
outs because we went from 21 precincts to 4 centers.
Right,
And
And
so that was-
legally, you have to publish that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just asking, because I don't, like I say, I didn't see it, but I'm
Yeah,
not
but
saying I didn't get it.
And-
Publish it how, though? In the local newspaper or something, right? Run ads?
Well, that's
Do
the
it
direct
mail
mail,
out.
the direct mail is the same.
I've never seen anything like that before in my life.
More people got the information than they
Direct
would have
mail
with the
is-
newspaper.
It's more expensive.
Yeah.
We did direct mail and newspaper in the Voice, the Democrat, and the Fairfield Bay News, and they ran it at no cost in the newspaper.
Awesome.
That's good.
$800 for signs. What kind of signs was that?
Not only signs, it was all, well, like I said, there's 3 pages there listing things that we have to buy. It's not, we just went out and bought. But the ballots, the signs,
Fold-year signs in English and in Spanish. We had to have that this year. Handicap signs, the old signage that we had, Bob could probably testify to this, it was all worn out and trash, and so we had to replace it. It was $800 from a election supply company.
and I can show you the list if you want.
Can you see the list?
All right, let's see all that.
Can I see that list?
Was that
Yeah,
not
let's see all that.
included in your budget? Was that another?
Well, like I said, I didn't see a
budget?
budget
Yeah, I don't see it.
until,
It's $300.
yeah.
I would kind of like you talked about the mailer coming out of postage. If we could kind of line these up a little of where we were thinking. So in postage is $3,300, okay? And you said the mailer cost $27,
Yes.
okay? And let's,
27 and a little bit, I don't remember the exact.
Yeah.
2722.
Okay.
Bobby, you're the last person in the world I want to be abrasive with. I love you to pieces, but $2,000 for that computer on your credit card.
Well, that
Were
wasn't
you
just that was
coerced into that or something?
No, that was a computer and a printer and the $800 for the signs and
That
stuff.
was your own decision, put $2,000 on your own credit card for that computer?
No, not just the computer.
The computer would have been about 1,200.
I
The
thought you
computer
said- I just thought you said
It was
2,000.
$1,200. It was almost $1,000 for the stuff that we had to have. And I did that online. But I had to put it on my card.
And that's common, and I understand that, because that's common, I did question that myself, because I was like, what in the world? But my understanding is that that's kind of a common practice.
And the reason I got the computer was because I thought ES&S provides a computer, but they can give it, or I guess you say give it, to the coordinator. But we still needed to have a laptop to do the things we had to do for the training.
So pretty much at this point, all you have to do, I mean, I know there'll be some other stuff, but as far as training and stuff like that, or what
I think
training
they're
should really
pretty
be
well-
over, really to certify the elections, pretty
Yeah.
much, I believe, is
Yeah.
the way I understood it from the state.
I don't think it's as much as like the computer, that's obvious that, you know, if the other one broke, then you have to get a new one,
Yeah.
that's, I don't think it's as much as those things as it is the time spent, in my mind, that I'm questioning.
Yeah, 25
Yeah,
minutes.
yeah, time is huge, it's huge.
Well, but like I said,
Or
when-
time billed for, I
when
should
the
say.
ES&S people were down here, I think we went through 5-6 days, and they were here all day.
One thing you gotta consider, Sarah, is before they had Jeff Hall do all that. They didn't
Yeah.
have to learn that much. He learned all that and taught them. We don't have that anymore. And so, you know, we had to pay him, of course. We paid him all throughout the year, but he was excellent in what he did
Yes.
and saved the county a lot of money. But now we're having to dish out because we don't have a Jeff Hall.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Pam, what is your employee's role in this? Is your employee the full-time or the part-time?
My employees are the full-time. Some of them that helps in early voting are part-time.
Yeah.
But my budget has nothing to do with the election commission budget,
Okay, so one of your employees are not in this,
not anymore.
not anymore, okay.
I think Kim paid partly out of election commission.
She was going to be, but she's not
Okay.
going to do the job
Did she
anymore.
ever, I knew that was her job
Yeah.
because we did an
Um,
ordinance. Did she ever go to training?
She went to some training, but Amanda Mitchell, that works there in the office with us, she's going to be taking over that position and
So she's gonna
helping
be running
me.
elections?
She's going to help, yes.
Okay, gotcha.
But we're leaving all of her salary in the county clerk's budget.
I got a question on the $800. And I don't mean to be picking by no means, I'm just trying to focus on all this. The stuff you got, and I know you said you had a list, but is it stuff that you stuff you gotta have every year? Or is it just something that come up that you had to have it?
It's something that you have to have, but it's only, you have to get it year after year.
Yeah, well, and here's the reason I asked that, is because under general supplies and small equipment, we budgeted $400.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what was submitted. If we knew we had to have this, why didn't, and I'm not saying that you by no means, I'm just asking a general question, is why didn't we budget more if we knew we were gonna have to have this stuff?
Because we didn't know last year that we were gonna need, having
You
not
never
done
know.
it before, we didn't know what all we were gonna need.
And the pressure was put on all the elected officials to cut budgets.
Right.
And they didn't know what it was.
Well, that's what I was asking, I don't know what
And I
that
think
list
we
is,
did,
but.
I think we did ask for more, but ours was cut also.
Well, in their defense on that part, we didn't know that we would need the cards for the new equipment.
Right.
The what
But
now?
the cards, the voting cards for the
Oh,
new
okay,
equipment.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
the
And we
slide.
didn't know that the computer and printer would go down.
Right, right.
But that's not $20,000. We're needing to
Let's start
appropriate
at the bottom.
20,000.
Why do we need $1,000 for social security for part-time?
You have to do it.
That's-
Part-time?
Mhm.
Anybody,
Security
anybody.
is-
1,000, when we're only gonna pay 3,000 in salaries? Oh,
Well, you have all of the poll workers
Okay.
They're listed under part-time.
I thought that's gonna
plus
come
the
out of Vicky's
commissioners.
budget. I thought that.
No, that's
No, no.
Vicky's budget
It's
is
out of
totally
ours.
different. It's
Okay.
voter registration.
Yeah.
So this $3,421 is for poll workers?
Well, they get minimum wage for 12 and a half to 13 hours. So,
What we figure on that?
That is poll workers and the election commissioners.
But the poll workers themselves is gonna be about what? It's gonna be,
I was thinking around 3,000,
I
but
think
I was thinking 4 at each center. You said 6.
6.
So
But I
it's
think,
more.
I figured it the other day, and I think it was close to that.
around 3,000.
Mhm.
Should be around 4 or 5,000, 4,000
Well-
maybe.
I thought we already had enough money to pay poll workers though.
There's enough money in there to pay poll workers.
But now that.
If we pay the commissioners their amount for February, there will not be enough to pay poll workers.
Okay.
So this $3,400 is really for the commissioners, correct?
Yes.
Gotcha.
So what about the November election? Will there, I mean, we'll have to pay
Get to
poll
that one.
workers
Yeah.
again?
Yeah.
Yes.
You'll have to have it again.
And if you do it runoff, you do it again too.
And in the November election, we pay for everything, but then the cities and the townships and everything pay their portion of the election, which is a formula that, and I can't even remember now, but it's a formula, so you
It's like
do
I
get
had to do in the
reimbursed with
school
some.
election. I had to do the formula to
Yeah.
fill the schools.
It
Oh,
depends
well,
on.
my question was because if we're already this deep into it and we haven't even gone to this election.
But if we have to train anyone, it's gonna be just maybe 1 or 2 as opposed
Right,
to,
right.
to
There won't be-
24 or 30, whatever. I think we trained about 30 with the early voting. And they should, I mean, if it's anything, it would be a refresher. It wouldn't be the whole 2-3 hours that it was.
Pam, how much money are we expecting to get back from the state after this primary election is settled?
Was it 38,000?
I'm not 100% sure because I have to list all of our expenses. So I
So
really don't know.
I know, like, only so many of their meetings is a qualified expense that we get reimbursed for,
Right.
right? So
Right.
how much more have we overspent that we're not gonna get reimbursed for?
Well,
But now on those 10 meetings also that they reinstate, it's at $100.
only
Not at $150.
$100. Right, right. And
Per
we'll
the
only
state.
get reimbursed for 10 meetings. Well, in January they had 14, February 11 so far.
So,
10 meetings total, not 10 per month, 10 meetings.
10 meetings
total.
per election.
10
Per
per
election.
election.
At $100
Yes,
for all 3
yes,
piece, yeah.
that's what we'll get reimbursed from the state.
Each,
okay.
and it's 125 and 150.
So let's, I guess it's a question more for you, Pam, than anyone. If this $20,000 were to pass tonight and be appropriated, are we gonna be back here in November? Or is there gonna be enough there to cover?
There won't be
Depend-
enough to cover through November. I'll be able to state after this election is over with, we'll get more money in. I'm not sure how much. We will get enough to cover the 20,000 for now. We will have to come back and ask for the remaining of the money that comes in from the state to make it through November.
Revisit
To
it,
get reimbursed
Right,
for that, okay.
right.
because we just don't know, so we'd have to come back and just revisit it.
Folks, the way I see it, we have to bear a lot of the blunt of this because we let a perfectly good guy go, and now we're having to, he knew it all.
So we're saving
So-
$50,000 in a full-time person and their benefits, and we're saying that that saved us money.
Yeah.
That dog don't hunt.
Well, I mean, Jeff did a great job. He did a great job for a lot of years, and he stated that, and he knew what to do. We didn't have to pay somebody to come in and teach because he taught.
For $50,000. I'm just saying, we're still money way
I don't know
ahead.
what we paid you.
Way ahead.
Esther,
Yeah.
4 years ago, the polls wasn't even open. Computers wouldn't come on, remember, in the election?
Oh,
Huh?
I'll agree with you. We
All right.
need some good
Move
stuff.
right along.
Anyway.
All right, next one's the
yeah.
$2,000 for small equipment. Is that your $2,000 you put in your card?
Yes.
General supplies, $3,000. What was that for?
Don't have a clue. I didn't put that together. I don't know.
I did this ordinance,
Okay.
and this is to cover, this is the money that we'll get reimbursed from the state, but this is to cover to the next time, probably right before, the November election.
So what supplies are you referring to? I mean, will we need some more cards or are we just
Possibly.
guessing? I mean, we're.
Yeah,
Well, we need the cards, the flash drives, the,
well, we won't need flash drives, but we will probably need cards.
yeah, because we only,
Those are pretty
Depending on how many
expensive.
people vote and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
So these are padded numbers to a certain extent based on.
Yeah, to a certain extent.
These are not out. I guess where I'm trying to get my mind around is there a $10,000 bill, a $3,000 bill, a $2,000 bill that are all due and payable, or is this kind of like we think this is going to get us through it, so we're estimating this is what we're getting reimbursed from the state?
Well, right now I owe Miss Bobby over $2,000 for her credit card, the things she put on her credit card. So that's going to take up most of that money.
And that was for the computer, the printer, and
And the
It's,
800
$800 for
something.
miscellaneous.
Oh, it was actually a little bit more, so. close.
You said you had a list of stuff? Can
Yeah.
we see that list, please?
While she's looking that up, if you don't mind, I just want to make sure everyone understands that probably 80–90% of what's been spent to prepare for this election will not have to be spent again for years. The election signs that you see around to vote here, and the Spanish signs, et cetera, and all that stuff, that's got a life of 7 years on it. So we're not going to have to buy those again. The computer, the printer, the election supplies, those are one-time expenses that have elevated the amount that we've had to invest in the election this time that we're not going to have to buy again.
Am I wrong in saying, this is just my interpretation of it, like, I understand those costs, I understand the computer costs. Those are things that you can't get around. What I don't understand is the 25 meetings. Like, that's where my hang-up is.
Can I address that?
Sure.
When we came in as the election commission, we realized that we did not have an election coordinator. And up until that time, the election process, all of the knowledge, everything about the election was stored in one brain with one person. And when Jeff Hall went away, we had to absorb that new knowledge for that new equipment. Now that it's better for the county in this respect, instead of all the election knowledge being stored in one person, we've now got it stored in 3 people in the clerk's office and 3 election commissioners. So that anything, if we were all 3 flying the airplane crashed, we still have people who know how to run the election. Where before with Jeff, if something happened to Jeff, as was mentioned a while ago, 4 years ago, the polls wouldn't open. That won't happen now because we got people trained in multiple locations.
I want to make one point. That position is not the only position that we eliminated as a county. Looking back, we eliminated roughly 20% of all the positions in the county. Emma, did you blow your budget because Taylor Fisher's duties fell into your office? You cut, that's right. Name one other office who, because of those cuts, took that as an excuse to go blow their budget and spend whatever they want willy-nilly.
Yeah, your OEM took in 2 offices. Well, 1.5.
What happened to your
And cut
budget?
the budget.
But we didn't do it willy-nilly.
And still accounted for my budget.
Well, my office took up the coordinator's office between me and Amanda. We're the election coordinator. The election commissioners are taking more responsibility like they should have from the beginning of time. but we're still here doing the job. It's
So
being
how much
done.
of your job was Jeff's? Like how much?
I get the whole election ready on the ERM. Hopefully Amanda will be doing that next time.
This is the absolute worst time for this, but because of the tape, we're going to have to suspend for a few minutes. So we'll take a 10-minute suspension and we'll come back. We'll pick up right where we left off. Who has a question?
I have a question. This one's Pam. Pam, what percentage of Jeff Hall's duties do you have now? And what percentage of what Jeff Hall did goes to them?
What I do is getting ready for all the elections. I would say at least 90% of what Jeff does, because you have to get everything together, get everything ready, get the ballot ready, get it all sent out.
And they don't have to do that?
Well, they do the training, they get together for meetings, make decisions. But I do want to say that we've also been to after-hour trainings, been to Little Rock. We work 10-hour days during early voting, which is under the county clerk's office. We have early voting for 2 weeks. They have 1 day.
So you coordinate all of the early voting?
The early voting is under the county clerk. And Vicki and Amanda do a great job doing preparing and keeping everybody straight, actually.
But we still get the machines ready for you to do yours.
Yes, they do the LNA testing before an election.
How long does that take?
For quite a while sometimes.
Depends on how many machines that they have.
But it was 3 days for one part of it, and then a couple of days for, we've had about 5 people down from ES&S, and each one of them does a different thing. We've had Jerry down 2 or 3 times because he messed up on something and he had to come back and fix it. And then we just got through with another thing that they messed up on, and Amberly came down yesterday, wasn't it, to fix the mistake they made, so.
There was some
It's not all
glitch in
us,
there.
and we
Some
have to
glitch
be
in
here
there.
when they're here. I mean, we can't just go and leave them, so.
The internet, $578, not very much, but the internet, will that have to be done again?
We will have to put more money in that because, what are they called?
A hotspot.
The hotspots.
Okay, our hotspot.
They'll have to be turned on before any election.
That's our hotspot though, right?
Yes, sir, we bought those.
We bought, okay, and that's part of this money, okay.
And you have to have it for 2 polls, is that correct? Or 2 places, I mean?
ES&S recommended that we have it for all 4 poll locations so that we'd be on a common network to prevent hacking. Although that can't happen, that's the rationale behind it. We're not gonna need one at First Baptist in Fairfield Bay. We won't need one at the library, although we have them as backups. For the 2 volunteer fire departments, we had to have them. So, but we purchased them. Again, that's a one-time expense. It's not gonna have to be done again. When we have other elections, we'll just have to contact Verizon and turn them on for a month.
We have wireless here, so during early voting, that's taken care of.
And they were also talking about the room in the trailer. We now have 3 different things as opposed to 1 before. And one of them we call the garbage can because it's the size of a 33
Cookie
gallon.
Monster garbage.
Yeah. So it's the size of a 33 gallon garbage can. Besides the express vote, and then the suitcases with the poll books in.
Well, I think we started at the bottom and coming up, and one last thing is other professional services, $10,000.
That's the ES&S.
Okay, you owe them $10,000.
8,000.
8,000.
Pam's got the exact figures.
Yeah.
That 27 though.
I
think
have
they
one
said
beer,
come out of
bill.
postage.
Beer.
Sorry.
That's what it said. I have one bill here for 1945 and then one for 8,260.78.
So that's the 10,000, okay.
So what'd they do, Bill? What was the second, that bill, 2,000 or whatever?
8,260.78.
That's ESS, what's the other one?
It's ES&S, 1945. That is for,
And that's $19.45.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay, I was like, okay.
I'm thinking that's more than 10,000. Wonder why we're confused.
We're gonna know everything in that, so that ESS, they have a contract with us?
Yes.
At hourly rate, or?
Not only did we get our equipment from them, they do all of the programming. So it's pretty expensive.
It's in that figure though, isn't it? The program.
Well, this isn't, we've already paid a couple of bills to ES&S, so
Oh,
this
okay.
isn't the total.
And that ESS is what the state uses, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
There's 55 counties use it.
And that's charges we're gonna request that the state reimburse us on, right?
Yeah. It looks like here so far we've paid them $5,132.89.
Yeah, I have that invoice.
I think, kind of to reaffirm what Sarah was saying, there are controllable expenses, there are non-controllable expenses. The non-controllable expenses, no one has an issue with. And I believe there was enough room in the budget to pay for most of those non-controllable expenses, for the most part. But it's the controllable ones that I think we have question with, and that's what we need to.
Well, and I think
Focus
it's been brought
on.
up, it's been brought up many times, and it's on the 25 meetings since January 1. I know that the state even questioned that. And that kind of what got us more even digging more. Because it wasn't common, I guess, is the key to that. And that's why it's bringing up. It's not, these questions ain't on individuals, it's on the whole situation that we're in. I mean, everybody knew we're in budget crunch. It is what it is. And that's why we're questioning everything. That's our job, is to question everything.
I have another question. John, if you did not know, if you had not heard that we were in a budget crunch, how about you two? Now, Bobby, you knew we were in a budget crunch this year. I don't know how anybody could have missed this.
Well, I knew that. But, I mean, we have to, there's things we have to have.
But if everybody,
What would
did
you
that-
do if we hadn't got any of it? How would you vote?
What do you mean, how would I vote?
How would you vote?
All right, I would have expected you to come back to us to present a problem by saying we don't have enough money. And not just keep having meetings and billing and running up the amount.
But we had a time crunch. We had to get this,
But
get it done.
it's called telephone. And Pam, you were telling them for quite some time the money was getting low, correct?
Yes.
Let me address this. It's my responsibility, and I'm the chairman for the election commission, so let me take the hit. If anybody wants to shoot darts, shoot them right here. It's not their fault. They were probably as much aware as they could have been, but none of us, again, were really focused on, are we spending money? We were focused on trying to get the job done. Back of our minds, Dale mentioned to me, Pam mentioned to me back early in January, last week in December, that the budgets were getting tight. So we knew it in the back of our mind. And the 10 meetings, I mean, I talked to the State Election Commission today, and the 10 meetings are common for counties that have already been through this process. For the counties that are getting new equipment, there's a requirement for additional training. And so I agree with what you're saying about the 10 meetings. We agree also And we won't have to do this many meetings again because we're trained. And so when I talked to the State Election Commission today, they explained to me your comments, and I explained to them what we were going through. And he said, well, you've got new equipment, don't you? I said, yes. And we had to have extra time to train ourselves, to get familiar with the equipment so that we could effectively train the poll worker. And the State Commission said, well, I understand both sides. So that's it, but it's not their responsibility.
Johnny, when you know you're running out of money and you're still spending money,
What would you have us do?
I would say
come
that
to the court.
sounds really good,
Yeah.
but your meeting notes don't back that up. Sure they are. Y'all look at them.
I
Look
just
at
have
what
one-
was covered during the meetings. Not all those meetings were training. Y'all met to meet.
And
Y'all
I
just,
have one
y'all
question.
met to just meet.
No, sir.
No, we did not.
Prove it by your minutes. You can't. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brian.
No, I just have one question. I just want to know, Mr. Rhoda, I know, I don't know how many times, 3 or 4 times, I think I was told that you were told that the money's getting low. Did you ever look at your budget?
Yes.
At that? I mean,
Yes,
so
I
you
did.
you kind of knew where we were at. And like I say, this is, I hope you see where we're coming from.
I do. I understand where you're coming from.
It's-
I do.
You want to look through these?
You know, it's not personal, it's,
Oh, I know that, and I don't take it that way. I understand.
We have, I think one of the biggest things is if you had been coming to quorum court, I'm not saying you have to, but if you'd been coming to quorum court, you would have known just how much we've been pinching pennies and how hard it's been to make our budget meet.
Had I known that the election commissioners needed to be part of the budgeting process, we would have been here. But we were not aware that we had any input to the court. We were not aware of that. And that's because we were all new. So, I'm sorry about that. Next time, or this year, next year, we'll be here to provide our input, but we
Well,
didn't know, so.
And that may have been my fault because I probably didn't invite y'all to the budget meetings. But I do believe that stuff like this has been discussed in our Republican meetings
Yes.
about the budgets.
Yes, it was. 3 weeks ago, Dale and I had a discussion over it.
More than 3 weeks ago. Like every meeting in October, November.
Well, I can check the secretary's minutes to see, but I don't think it was until January, but that's neither here nor there.
well, at the end of the day, we have an obligation to pay our bills. And thank you.
Brian,
Good
before
secretary.
can I ask this really?
Yeah.
These meetings that start at 9 a.m. and end at 11 a.m., were those $150 meeting? Like, did you bill for these meetings that were,
Yes,
okay? Because I see more than one. I mean, I don't know, I guess,
One more point, and then I'll be quiet for a minute, is that it sets such a bad precedent that you come back for this much money. That means that how many other department heads can come back and think that they can have more money when the well is dry?
we made a mistake, I'll admit that, and not coming
But
back.
if we give you more money, then we're saying, hey, what else would you like? You know?
Well, I was told of the shortfall, certainly, but I was not told that we needed to come back to the court. And I'll take that as a personal hit. I should have figured that out myself. Pardon?
What do you expect to do?
I didn't have a clue.
You didn't know, yeah.
Didn't know. Any other questions?
John, just so you know, the quorum court takes care of all money for the counties.
I know that.
Every budget has to be approved by us, bar none. We control the money, not the judge, court. And we went through one hell of a process, I'll say, to get to that December budget to make it. And we cut a lot of stuff. We were fortunate that we didn't have to cut more people. Because it was really looking like that for a while. It really, really was. And we, you know, I don't think you know how complex it is for the millions of dollars that we're trying to budget for to make it fit for everybody. And people were coming in from different offices, giving up stuff because they knew we were gonna be short. We were gonna be short.
Well, they had to go back 3 times.
Three
Redo
times.
their budget.
So it's a complicated process that we as the court must manage all the time.
I appreciate the process and certainly understand the court's position. And like I said, we were not part of that budgeting process, but in the future, we would ask that we be involved.
I would think so, yes.
I feel like there's a flaw in this system, and maybe this is on us, that maybe we need to revisit how this money is allocated, whether it be on an hourly basis, because I can confidently say that more than 5, 6, 7, 8 of these meetings are 2 hours. And that is, I mean, like, if you were paying yourself $150 for an 8-hour day, that would be a lot easier to understand, but there's no way in my mind I could go home after 2 hours and think, well, I just made $150. Like, that is just bizarre.
I never thought of that, never once.
Bizarre.
I mean, I would love for that to work for me, but
Yeah, that'd be cool, that'd be great.
I never once thought
That'd
that.
be great.
we may need to change something.
You never thought, I'm sorry, what did you never think?
I never went home from a meeting thinking, well, we just made $150. I never thought that.
And that may be on us to change how that's allocated. I don't.
Johnny?
I don't even have it.
We're getting too silly here.
Let Ms. Bennett talk.
To start with, we are not employees. We work for the state, and the state guides us, I guess is what we say. So, I mean, you cannot,
State doesn't make your budget, Bobby.
I know that, but
That's
we
what we're talking
still,
about.
we're not an employee, so, I mean.
That doesn't
you're-
have any. that doesn't
Yes,
make
it
any
does.
difference.
You're comparing us to the employees, and we're different, on a different scale. But I don't know how you would judge or set an hourly wage for us.
I mean, that was just a suggestion. I'm just saying that there's a flaw in the system somewhere where people can come in and work for 2 hours and get paid $150.
As much as they want.
Yeah.
We'll talk with
For as
the.
many days as they want to. And please
Well, no, it's
understand,
not. It's
please
not.
understand that
It's
I
not
am.
when we want to. It's when there is something that needs to be done, has to be done.
Understand this, and
2 hours today, 2 hours tomorrow, 2 hours the next day.
Well, and that was all when the ES&S people were here.
Understand, because this hurts my feelings to have to speak to you and ask these questions, because I'm 33 years old and you're my elders, but I would hold myself to a higher standard.
I've worked.
And be a better steward.
I worked for the city for 10 years, and I worked for the county for 18. So I know a little bit.
Absolutely. And
then
nobody doesn't appreciate the work that you're doing. Please know that.
And I worked with the elections, because I was the county clerk.
Right.
So I know. But
At the end
also,
of the day, it's just a
also
dollars
when,
and cents thing, and
where I came from, I worked with the elections there also. So,
there's no question that you're qualified and your work is appreciated. Please know that. But there's,
It's perception of how it's looking. You know, with 23 meetings, you know, most of them at 2 hours a day, well, why don't we just come up here and spend an 8-hour day, you know, for the same amount of money instead of
right.
4 2-hour days and, you know.
And you said that it was the ES&S coming and that's why you had to be here. But, I mean,
and there were sometimes we're here 8, 10 hours. Whenever the load came in with the equipment, we were here all day waiting for that to come. And then when it did, he dumped it out in front of the door over there in the other building. And we had to get someone here to bring it in out of the rain.
They had to get someone here. We got help for them here.
Yeah.
They watched.
And I understand, I mean, if it's a 10-year-old.
No, we didn't watch, we helped.
You watched and helped, but you didn't do it all by yourself.
Well,
either.
no,
And there was
I
one day that y'all worked, or maybe 2 or 3 that y'all worked 8 hours.
My whole point is, how do we stop this so this does not happen again? We can't undo what's been done. I do have a question about these meetings being paid for February. I'm not saying you shouldn't get paid for your time, because time is not free. But, what?
Go ahead, I was just saying.
What do we do for, I mean, how do we move forward? How do we stop? I mean,
Can I understand a little bit better? And obviously, you know, as mimic, I'm gonna mimic everybody. This budget it was my first time. It was grueling. It is, I know for these departments, you have people that have worked at the county for a long time. They put in their blood, sweat, and tears. Haven't got to give raises like we want to. It's just, even to buy a new computer to them is a huge deal. I know, in talking through, what can we do? Where can we buy ones that are cheaper? And so it's just a heated debate. Something that I would like to try to drill down to is ultimately, what of these numbers are we going to take a hit on in general? So it sounds like a lot of this is reimbursed, but what we're looking at paying, what's going to hit general that we didn't see coming is kind of what I'm curious about. Because, you know, if some of it, okay, we know 10 meetings gets reimbursed. Okay, well, that's a chunk off. But what did we not see coming or is going to hit general? And I think that's
outside the budget already.
Yes.
10 meetings at $100 is what we're getting paid now.
Right, yeah, so we're already off that. So based on this annual budget of what we thought we would spend in a year, are we looking like, okay, it's all gone and that the other half of the year is just red? Or, you see what I'm saying, kind of what, because some of this we're gonna get back, and I'm not saying that any of this is ideal, but some of this we're gonna get back. And there's a lot of issues here, but drilling down to what's our actual hit that we're taking? And is there any way, kind of to talk to what Sarah's saying, that we can protect us going forward this year and kind of get it in line based on what's already been done? And not minimizing that in any way, but I'm wanting to think, hey, is there a way where right now we put the brakes on these things and we clean this up a little and really our hit isn't that hard? And I don't know the answer to that.
I know after talking to Pam today, I think this is pretty well where we're at. Is that correct, Pam, on this ordinance? I mean, after you looked at it, I mean, we gotta pay our bills. I mean, that's not an option, you know, now.
Yeah, it's
I guess the
padded
salaries,
a little
I guess.
bit, but because we're gonna get the money back, but yeah, this is what we need to put in there to be
And
able
then
to
how much, a
pay.
guesstimate on how much, I know you don't know for sure, but a guesstimate on how much we're gonna get back from the state. You'd be what, 3,000 for the 10 meetings, right? Is that correct? It's $100 a meeting, 3 commissioners, that's yeah, $3,000.
I would be afraid to say, really.
Can you tell me, and I should have printed this out myself, but I have the budget, but I don't have,
Yeah.
like, before these, can you tell me of the 51, so there's 51,000 total budget. What has been spent up to this date, a number, and then we know, hey, we're adding 20 to it?
We've already paid 52,000, you said, 5,289, you said already, correct?
No, that was to ES&S. The year-to-date expenditures in this budget has been 14,000.
Okay, so
altogether.
altogether of what's been paid out, that does not include what is on this ordinance.
Right.
Correct. Okay, so in thinking about it, 14 plus 20 gets us to 34. And their total budget is 51. We don't know how much we're gonna get back, but we should get the equipment back. is that right? Like
The ES&S.
yes, the S&S. So we should get the 10 roughly back. We should get the 3 back. I'm just, you see what you see what I'm doing? I'm trying to problem solve if there's any way to get it in line.
Well, I don't know exactly what they'll reimburse, but I'm going to turn in every ticket that's ever been turned in for this election.
Do we have, I mean, for those that's been involved in it in the past, do we have any idea how much they normally pay back, or?
Around 30 something?
We got a notice that the state is authorized 36,000, and I want to say 800 or it's $18. I don't remember, but it's 36,000 and some. We were eligible to get half of that early, but we missed a 30-day cutoff that Pam didn't know about and they didn't tell us.
Right.
And so we can't get that, but we will get $36,000 after the primary election has been certified. We did get that from the state, and we've got that by email. Pam's got it, I've got it, so it's 36,000 and a little bit.
So
We
is that-
met the date, but they wanted it in a letter instead.
Right, so I want a different format.
Yes, so once I did that, it was like,
Well, I mean, that would cover the 20,000, but then that would have to go back to the,
So is it a wash? I mean,
Yeah.
I hate that word.
I know, but what do you call it?
It's a wash.
We're going through these notes here. Who is Brian Jones?
Brian Jones is a part-time laborer that we hired
Labor, what kind of labor?
to pick up a 40-pound machine, move things around.
You can't pick up 40 pounds? No, can you pick up 40? You can't?
No, he can't.
Maybe you should be on the production mission.
Well, we anticipate these big heavy
40
machines.
pounds, boy.
The machines we have.
Where's less tough? So y'all hired him and paid him how much?
$10 an hour,
Minimum wage.
and he's only worked a few hours when we had to move equipment.
I think 7 hours, I think, wasn't it? Something like that.
Who's gonna set up both machines on the day before the election? and take
He
them up?
will,
We need to pay him.
under George's supervision.
Dale's supplying us with some laborers to set those machines at the vote centers.
Okay. So, our trailer that we have is not adequate for what needs to be used for moving these bigger machines around yet.
That's correct.
Okay. So, why did we go looking for a trailer in the parking lot that didn't belong to us?
We thought it was abandoned.
You thought it was abandoned?
Nobody knew anything about that trailer. There's no markings on it of any kind. Nobody that I talked to in this building had seen it even been moved.
That's not true. We talked in the judge's office and they asked and I gave him, and there was somebody else there with you, but I gave you David Calkins' number and David Hess's number and told you that it was the Boy Scouts.
But prior to that is what I'm talking about. Because what I did is, I took the license plate off the trailer and I brought it into Dale's office. And one of the secretaries called the sheriff's department, and that's how we found out who the trailer belonged to.
Okay. And you could have done the same thing by walking the license plate over to this office over here who handles license plates.
The revenue office?
Yes.
Why
They
would you
wouldn't
take
give
the
me,
license plate off somebody's truck you
Yeah,
have?
but-
yeah, they wouldn't give me any information.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's illegal to take a license plate off the vehicle.
Take a picture of it.
Well, I took it off
Take
so
a
I could
picture.
find out who it belongs to, because I had no paperwork on it.
You can take a
Why didn't you
picture.
call law enforcement, have them come up and run it?
Call the
So
police.
that's
and
what we
have-
did, the sheriff's department.
But you took the license plate off. Why did you take the license
So I
plate off?
could
You
show
should've just
them the
called
number, so they
Okay,
could
now-
have proof.
Have them
That's,
come up and look at
that's
it.
amazing enough, but why in the world did you cut the locks off the trailer?
That's
Because we
good.
thought it was abandoned. I took, and I called David Coughlin on the phone, found out that he worked for the sheriff's department.
No.
He wasn't in that day. They
No,
said
that's
they
a
would
lie.
Give him a message.
David
You know
Coughlin
that's
doesn't
not
work for the
true.
sheriff's department.
What?
You know that's not true.
That I didn't call the sheriff? Did you?
No,
ambulance?
you knew whose trailer that was. And don't tell me you didn't, because it was my office that found out for you.
Right, but I called him to see if the trailer was gonna be available. That's why I called him. I called the
I think we need to
ambulance
let the
department.
law
I do
enforcement
too.
handle
This is an
Yeah,
investigation
we need
law.
Yeah,
to,
let
we
the-
need to back off on that. Let law
Let the
enforcement do
prosecuting
it.
attorney
I'll
handle
suspend
that.
that.
They're gonna take care of this, Dale.
That's
Everybody's
this
good.
anyway, when you get back to this ordinance.
Yeah,
That's not part of this ordinance.
I agree.
Crazy.
Just can't allow falsehoods to be thrown like that. Okay, back to the ordinance. Do I have, are we done asking questions?
I think we exalted our question.
Okay.
Can we reduce any of these amounts on here?
No, I don't think we need.
Per the
Per what
county
she
clerk,
owes.
she's saying that
Well-
that's pretty close to what we're gonna need to, but then whenever way it's written, whenever the state reimburses the county, the monies will go back into the
Yeah,
general
probably
fund.
will, but hell, somebody was spending money, wouldn't authorize to spend money. I mean, they're a state disbursement, yeah.
So the money that we receive back will not go back into their budget?
Go
it'll
back in the general fund.
Go into general.
Yeah.
And, you know, it won't be added to the budget, you know.
So are your meetings finished?
Yes.
For this election cycle.
For this election cycle, we'll have to meet to certify the elections, we'll have to meet on election day.
Mhm.
There'll be 2 more meetings.
And that's what the state said, so.
Well, now when you put machines out that day before the election, you gonna cut that call a meeting?
What do you want us to do?
I'm not.
I don't think that's considered a meeting.
Do it for free. You got millions of dollars, It's too silly. It's too silly. It's just too
Let's
silly.
vote.
All right,
All right,
let's call the vote. Roll call vote.
Now, before, are we
Oh.
through with discussion?
Unless you have something else.
I do, because I really don't want to vote for this,
No, neither.
but we're kind of stuck.
Can we amend it?
How you gonna
To
amend it?
vote for the thing, or to pay for the things that we have to pay? I mean, like,
Well, the state's reimbursing, so we gotta cover our bills.
no, that's what I'm saying.
And
What
Sarah,
I'm
I
doing
see
is
what
not-
you're saying, and part, you know, I feel like we try to drill down to that. I feel like Pam has given us pretty good, I feel like what she's saying is they need to be padded a little so we get it back
yeah.
because of the reimbursement process. I get what you're saying. Is there anything we can cut? Because I thought that at first too. I'm not seeing a lot.
Well, Ben, this is out there. I mean, when you're talking padded, we're not talking padded thousands, we're talking padded, you know,
Right.
dollars.
$100.
Yes, right. Yeah.
So
that's a-
don't.
And the other thing that I think is important is that money comes back to general. Because, you know, when we go through all this budget stuff, well, there's outline budgets that don't affect general. But I mean, it's our responsibility to watch general and make sure that we protect it.
It has to
Absolutely.
come
Yeah.
back to general.
And, but I'm just making that clear for anyone that thinks it might get added or an addition, we're getting paid back.
If it gets added to this budget, y'all have to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It'll all come back into general.
to be appropriated
And
out.
we can, after this, we can appropriate all but this 20,000.
We're not getting any straight answers here, though. He said we gotta meet one more time to certify the election. Well, what about the day before when they're putting out the machines, election day, the day after when they pick them up?
I don't
They
think
just
those are
certified?
considered meetings, though. Are those considered meetings?
No, they're considered work days, and it's the day that George and our $10 an hour laborer will move equipment.
Okay, thank you.
Do you need the $10 an hour labor when I'm supplying somebody?
I'm sorry, who?
Do you need a $10 labor when I'm supplying somebody to move them for you?
Do you know how to set up the equipment, sir?
No, I don't, but
That's why, thank you.
Does George?
Are you not gonna be there?
George told me in the hallway,
Pardon?
Are you not gonna be there?
I'm gonna be there, yes.
Yeah. That's
So
why I'm
what
gonna do
can
that.
your part-time laborer do that our other staff can't do? That our laborers
It's
can't
out of
do?
my budget, and I suppose I'm paying for the gas for 2 days.
I'd be glad to train you on how to move the equipment, how to lower it, raise it,
I
set
think
it up.
there's been enough training.
Yeah.
Yeah. Max.
That's why I brought that up. Why don't we just go ahead with the plan that's in place by the election commission? It's the most economic way to do things.
I'm sorry. That
At
was
this
very
point,
unprofessional.
If there's money that can be saved.
I agree.
I'm very unprofessional.
At this point, if there's money that can be saved, and it seems like the judge and, y'all are trying to make concessions to do that. And
We
I'm not
would
trying
be-
to take anyone out of a job, Lord knows we all need jobs around here. But if you guys have been trained on how to set up the equipment, if you have the manpower to do it, can they not do the manpower part and you hook up the machine?
We'd be glad to let you do it.
You
We're
hook up
happy
the
to do it
machine?
anyway.
Is it my understanding that they are going to move the machines in?
No.
What is your laborer going to do? I guess that.
He's gonna help set them up so that when the poll workers get there, they'll be up and ready to go.
Time out. He's gonna help set them up. Who's bringing them in the building?
The laborers, whoever delivers them.
The laborers, our county employees.
Right.
They're not your
Raise his hand
laborers.
back there, I think he's got his hand, yeah.
Yeah,
That's what he just said, we're gonna be bringing them to you.
yep. So if they're
What
bringing
happens
them
after
to
they're
you,
there? Sorry.
yeah, go ahead. If they're bringing them to you and you're already there and you know how to set them up, why do we need a middle guy?
Why do we what?
Why do we need the other guy? You know how to do it.
Just to set them up, I guess, get them ready for the poll.
Can't you do that?
Sure.
Then you don't need him. These guys are bringing them in the building for you.
Yeah.
You set them up. Save $10 an hour.
George has got a bad back.
Is it take lifting to set them up?
Yes, sir.
We're there.
Then they're there.
Okay.
There we go.
All right.
We're trying to help you here, Johnny.
Well,
I
Trying to help.
appreciate that.
I'll be glad to help on election day, lift them up and get them set up. I don't
I'll get
want
you to come with us then.
Yeah.
Well, if the
That's-
county
that's
employees
fine.
are already gonna be there, they're good, strong men, so they'll be able to help
Yeah, they can do
with
that.
all
Yeah.
that situation.
We'll break them down that 40 pounds.
Okay, let's, are we ready to vote?
No. I feel like we're in recovery mode, so like, if we're gonna move forward with this and not come back to this, that's why we're suggesting things such as cutting money where we can. So this does not happen again, because believe me, speaking for myself, it's been very uncomfortable, and I'd rather not be here again if possible.
Me too.
So, if we need to get in that mindset of saving money at all costs.
And you're gonna have a runoff more than likely, so.
Well, and the thing is, there's a budget there for a reason. It's everybody's responsibility to look after their budget. And I understand things come up, understand, that's when you come back to the quorum court, not, after we spend all of it, and say, hey, this is kind of what we're looking at, be thinking about this, whatever the situation, I understand things come up, and that's what's, brought us here.
Voting this down is not much of an option, is it?
No, not per the state.
money's already been spent.
I'm finished.
Not out of the budget,
I'm
but
finished now.
Okay, are we ready to vote?
Okay.
Yes.
Roll call vote.
Holt,
Yes.
Nikki,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Phillips,
Yes.
Bradford,
Yes.
Tatum,
Yes.
Lemmings.
Yes.
Bass.
Yes.
2020-08.
Our next ordinance, be read by Justice Holt.
I'm going to revise this as I read it to be more in line with the state.
What we need to do is read it as is and then
I'm gonna
amend
read it
it.
and then I'll amend it, okay? Being enacted by the Corning Court County of Emory County, State of Arkansas, an ordinance to be entitled, an ordinance to amend the original ordinance 2019-55, the annual operating budget for 2020 to reduce the wage amount of the Van Buren County Election Commissioners. Whereas due to the budget strain on county, each office has reduced their budgets, and whereas there is a need to reduce the wage amount of the Van Buren County Election Commissioners to $25 per meeting, And whereas the Van Buren County Election Commissioners would be allowed a total of 10 meetings for a primary election, 10 meetings for a general election, and 10 meetings for a special election, including any runoff elections. Now therefore be it ordained by the Quorum Court of Van Buren County, Arkansas that Section 1, the election commissioners will be reduced to $25 per meeting. Section 2, a total of 10 meetings will be allowed for a primary, a general, and a special election, totaling possibility of 30 meetings within a year, including runoffs. I say this be approved.
Second.
Okay, it's been motioned and second to adopt this ordinance, and what we will do is we will, if you're wanting to make amendments, we'll write on here the amendments, because this is a 3-read ordinance anyway.
Yes, it is.
So we'll, at the appropriate time, suspend the rules and reread it with the amendments. Fair enough? Okay.
Okay, and just so you all know, after I wrote this, after I thought about it, after things that I've heard tonight, and after things that we talked with about the state, I think it's more appropriate that we keep the amount at $100 per commissioner, and after 10 meetings, $25 per meeting. I feel that's more fair than what we're doing right now. And that puts them in line with, they've given some money back too to help do things. So, I'll reread it again as I've rewrote
Well,
it.
actually, we're still in discussion,
That's true.
and there hasn't been an amendment made. So y'all are free to discuss.
So you're saying 10 meetings, $100 each.
Yep,
And then this bottom section is allowing for 30 meetings a year. So you're saying 20 meetings possible at $25.
yeah.
Just making sure I'm clear. Okay.
Including runoffs, so they're gonna have to be prudent with their meetings.
Yes.
Because they don't know if the runoff's gonna come about or not.
That's right.
Well, just because there's 10 meetings, don't mean they have to have 10 meetings.
No.
If things are going smoothly and your machines
Per
are
election.
Per election, yeah, per
doing what they're
election.
supposed to.
And does this include, I mean, obviously there's gonna be more time spent when there's new equipment. Is that what you're talking about, the $25?
That, we don't get reimbursed for that. We get $100 per commission, no matter how much time they spend.
Then if that happens, they can come back to
They
court.
can come back and ask the court, this is gonna happen, could you please consider we need this much money because we've got this to do, we have this to do, we have this to do. Is there any way we can come back to the court and say we're gonna need this additional money because of this? That's a whole different story.
I agree.
Yeah, I definitely think it needs to be the 100 for the 10, like you said, that's not,
That's in line with the state.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Just, since we're in discussion, we are on record, and we're being recorded, we're being videoed. We have the election commissioners telling us that there's only going to be one more meeting this election cycle, correct?
I think you,
1 to 2. I
Well, we
think.
got,
1 to 2, okay,
we got it
Okay.
certified.
okay. Want 2 more,
Election day and the day we certify.
okay? Would it be prudent, since there are so many changes in this, to bring this back at the next quorum court meeting?
We can. I don't mind tabling it till the next quorum court meeting.
That would be better.
Would that be better?
That'd be better.
Or is this considered the first reading?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
This
well,
would
3
be
readings.
the considered
This
the
is
first
We
reading,
do 3
yes.
readings.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so what we will do is we will take a voice vote to accept this as our first reading, so we have it in the minutes. All those in favor of considering this reading 1 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. And then we'll need a motion to table.
I will make a motion.
Well, I guess we don't, since this is just the first reading.
This is just the
Never
first
mind.
reading, so we don't
Okay.
have to table it.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay.
Will
Being-
you accept a citizen, a taxpayer?
Sure.
To say a few words?
Sure.
My respects to you folks.
Would you care to
Work
come
hard.
up here just so we can
I'm
get it on
Ingram
video?
Phillips, and I don't represent the sheriff's department. I served in the Army for 30 years, so I have some knowledge of finances and budgets and all that stuff, and well-meaning people, and you all are, and your motives are great. Indirectly, though, you have obligated me to pay for this tonight. And you are a role model for all the department heads in this county. I would recommend to the court that you establish some procedure that will enforce the requirements upon you. You are the ones that are responsible for spending the money. Not him, not me, not anybody else back here. You are. If you're going to continue to allow this, I would be more disturbed than I am at this moment. I recommend that you do something to enforce that. If I had done something like this in the Army, Ingram Phillips would be paying for it. Think about that. I don't know what legally can be done, but if you're going to take more of my money we got to pay it, folks, right? We got to pay it. Then find a way to go back to those that are not operating by the rule. Thank you, Judge.
I haven't closed this meeting out yet, intentionally. I have not signed this. Pam has it. She said over here for me to sign, but I haven't signed it yet. If I were to veto this, would you go back and whittle it down to just ES&S bills?
Well, you have to pay, I mean, okay, from what I'm understanding, we're getting reimbursed for that amount. You're talking about whittling down the salaries, is that what you're talking about? What are you talking about specifically, whittling down?
Paying ES&S,
Right.
Which one is the ES&S?
which would be the 10,000,
Professional.
the 10,000. And the rest, the things that are on credit cards and all, we just have to wait until reimbursement comes in.
To pay salaries?
No, that's not fair.
Well, we need to be able to pay salaries.
If you've done it in the past, Pam said that's a natural thing we do is pay it on our credit cards. To make them carry that would not
To
be,
use our credit card is natural. To overspend beyond appropriation is anything but natural.
I agree.
Okay, so what
They
we
didn't
would
even
not
have
do.
permission. I didn't ask anybody. If it was one of us other people there that was spending that money, we are responsible for that, whether we put it on our own personal card or a credit card, a county credit card. If it's not an allowable expenditure, or you do not have those funds inside your line item, your budget, who pays for it? The person that signed the bill. We're responsible for it, not the county.
I don't know.
Are
I
you,
think that's a good idea.
is that saying, I have a couple questions. Is that saying that one, the money would still be paid back, it would just wait on their reimbursement?
Mhm.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, yeah.
So
You
this
wouldn't
is
have
just
the
in
election
holding.
If you didn't, if I hadn't have done that. $1,000 of it was.
How long does
Number
it take?
two, can you do, can we, I'm sure you know the answer, but, on the salaries part and the social security and those things, can we hold that? I mean, legally, can we do that?
No.
He's not talking about the salary.
Okay.
I'm just saying, since this has already been voted
Gotcha.
in, I veto it, you bring it back, we suspend the rules, we bring it back to the table, and you can strike out general supplies. You can strike out small equipment. You can, that's $5,000.
How long will it take for the reimbursement?
Oh, not until,
It'll be
In
after the
summertime.
election, it'll probably be at least maybe a couple of months.
My concern, and of course, I'm not one to keep secrets, so I'm just gonna say it, is the interest. Somebody's gonna say, well, they should have thought of that, but the interest that's gonna incur
Yep, they should have thought about it.
in that time, we're not gonna pay for the interest on their credit card, right? So,
I don't like that idea. I mean, she did it in good good faith to help the situation. Now we're punishing that individual, I don't care who it is, for doing something to help the situation. She didn't have to do that. I mean, I don't think
She
that's
could-
a
She didn't have to spend unappropriated funds.
She could come and ask for court for it.
Or had.
What is the
Because
protocol?
there's only $400 that was budgeted for general supplies and small equipment, total,
Okay.
$400.
All
So they
right.
should have come back and asked for more
Yeah.
money in that line item
Yeah.
for a transfer.
I didn't know.
But
that
you
we
don't,
could do
you don't
this,
punish
so-
them
Okay,
because he didn't come back.
Well,
We got
it's
5,000.
my choice.
Again, we go back to, if Gina can't do it, it's not fair.
So for general supplies and small equipment, we got $5,000 in our budget at 400.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what the budget shows, $400, $300 for general supplies, $100 for, small equipment.
I would expect you'd have to do that to everybody that had bought and been expected the county to reimburse.
I would
You
expect them to
couldn't-
come in and ask.
Not everybody does that.
Well, then maybe they
Who
should.
doesn't?
Well, then you punish everybody. not
Yeah,
just
yeah,
one
that's,
person.
you know, that's right.
If that's gonna be your rule, then you need to
Maybe
make
that
it.
needs to
You
be
need to
the
make a
rule.
rule
That is
to
the
do
rule.
that.
Punish
That's a
your-
Are there other
statutory rule.
instances where this has happened?
They did it all the time. They do it
Well,
all the
in,
time.
They do it all
in
the
my
time.
office.
People do it all the time.
In the past, things used to
I've done it
be
myself.
paid, everything would run in the red till the end of the year, and it would be cleaned up. When I took office, I don't let a category go in the red. And if a bill is turned in that we owe, and it makes that category go in the red, then it has to wait till after quorum court.
Pam, is this your rule?
No, this is the auditor's
No,
rule.
I'm just saying, is that
Yes.
the rule, the way it is?
Right, yes.
Okay.
Well, Misty, she monitors that
Statutory.
too, right? If anything's going in the red, she keeps.
Misty can't do it.
Yeah, but
either.
she notifies me.
Tell you
when they're
what,
going in
here's
the
what I'm
red.
gonna do. I'm gonna sign this thing. But if it comes back, if you guys come back for another penny, I will veto this faster than my head can spin. I don't like the way this is headed. I don't like the example that's being set, and I don't like someone running roughshod over our county equipment that's not even ours, and our budget. Do I make myself clear? Thank you. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Adjourn.
Step into a new